Black dot, melanocyte doorway to the temple. The melanocyte is a pigment cell found in skin that produces the black pigment melanin and skin color. Our skin is an organ that covers the entire body. Direct sunlight initiates the production of melanin or skin color. Then too, melanocytes, though found in the skin, originate embryologically from the neural crest, an early prefetal structure which later evolves into the brain and later migrates into skin sites. Thus, the melanocyte is a modified nerve cell that in terms of structure will resemble a nerve cell in appearance with dendrite axon cellular shape. The melanocyte is an example of a nerve that conveys information through long-distance blood hormone messengers as compared to short-range nerve neurotransmitters that are so typical of electrical forms information transferred by the nerves. Pierce 1973, Pathak, Blois 1969, Thilauters 1976, Schneider 1975, Riley 1972, Wasserman 1974, Edelstein 1971. The melanocyte can release its hormone melanin by two different paths. One way is by direct injection of melanin into skin cells as they grow out of the deep dermis skin layer and pass through the melanocyte-containing layer on their way to the epidermis, surface of the skin. Another way is for white blood cells to engulf melanin particles in the skin and then return to the blood circulatory tree inside of the white cell, traveling throughout the body, capable of being deposited in countless sites, circulating melanin. The inner lining of our two lateral eyes contain the retina, a structure that contains both rods and cones. Rods are sensory organ receptors that produce black and white vision by literally capturing light when it passes through the pupil and reaches the retina. The rod converts the light into a chemical message that is passed to the optic nerve at the center of the retina, which in turn relays the message to the brain for processing. Cones are sensory organs that produce color vision by capturing light and converting it into the chemical message, which is also passed along to the optic nerve and then the brain. Critically, melanin is present throughout the retina in a layer just below the surface of the rod and cone containing retina, the pigmented layer of the retina. When light reaches the rod, it is captured by the rod visual pigment rhodopsin, then changes shape from the cis chair shape to the trans boat shape, and thereby holding the light photon, and the rhodopsin-containing disc is then shed, falling into the deeper melanin pigment layer of the retina. In the pigmented layer of the retina, the light photon is transferred to melanin, transrhodopin, changes shape into cis, and then returns to the rod for new light reception. The energized melanin then generates an electrical chemical message that passes into the optic nerve and then the brain. It is believed the color vision produced by the retina is also dependent upon a similar relationship with retinal melanin. These melanin-retinal chemical events take place in less than a small fraction of a second. All human eyes contain retinal melanin, without which one would be permanently blind. Light vision is literally born from darkness. Melanin Path, 1978, Nettleship, 1909, O'Donnell, 1978, Creel, 1978. Black dot inner ear nucleus, doorway to the temple. Melanin is also present in the inner ear nucleus. It has been shown that melanin in the inner ear of the fetus helps to direct inner ear nerve growth such that the nerves, retinogenic claustrate projections from one ear to the ear on the opposite side, allow coordinated hearing and vision. However, it has been found that there are birth defects that lack inner ear melanin, human ocular albinism, sex-linked ocular albinism, and autosomal recessively inherited ocular albinism. Donald Creel, 1980, reports. However, both types of ocular albinos have congenital reduced visual acuity, 2400 to 2050, and hypopigmentation of the urea and pigmented epithelia of the iris, ciliary body, and retina. As a result, human albinos have a 20-degree blind spot in their temporal fields and nystagmus, and constant fluttering of the eyes because poor nerve links induce poor circulation between both eyes and ears. Likewise, it has been shown that human albinos have hemisphere asymmetry in hearing sounds as a result of poor development of the abducens nucleus in the brain. However, just as the melanin seed blueprint in the ectoderm becomes the pattern from which brain spinal cord and endocrine glands evolve, so do eye and nerves depend upon inner ear melanin to outline the proper pattern and direction of growth. Peterson, 1980, Creel, 1978. Black dot melanin, memory doorway to the temple. The entrance into the African temple, which was symbolic of birth or creation into the human mind-body, was through a doorway bordered by two columns, two obelisks both topped by black pyramidions. Jokinen, 1980, Schwaller, Muller, 1964, Tompkins, 1971, James, 1976. These two obelisks at the entrance of the African temple symbolize the basic two opposites of nature, Y and B, male and female, active, passive or positive, negative. Pothak, 1972, reports, melanin pigmentation, which follows exposure of skin to solar radiation sunlight, is known to involve two distinct photobiological processes. The first is immediate pigment darkening, tanning, or direct pigmentation. The second is described as new pigment formation, melanogenesis. In fact, melanin is black because of their unique physical property that allows it to be an excellent electrical conductor or semiconductor. Melanin is black because it absorbs light, colors, or energy. Blois, 1969, Filaters, 1976. In fact, melanin responds to a critical applied electrical field by changing its conductivity. The response falls into two categories, threshold and memory switching. Threshold switching occurs when sample cycles from an off, low conductivity moves to an on, high conductivity state at a critical electrical field, and returns to the off state when the electrical field is removed. Memory switching, on the other hand, refers to a sample which remains in the on state when the field is removed, but can be restored to the off state by larger electrical fields or currents. Both threshold and pseudo-memory switching have been reported in melanin. The memory state is reversible, destroyed by heating above 110 Ci, suggesting the existence of a true memory state. Filaters, 1976. Black dot is the doorway to the collective unconscious, the doorway through which chaos, hierarchy of energies, God, macrocosm, passes through to become the individual human mind. Ta macrocosm. Another example of melanin's role in memory pool operation can be seen in the report that DNA itself, a key biological blueprint for life, has been found to be directly linked to melanin granules. Schneider, 1975. Again, there is a growing body of biological research that shows how the collective unconscious is recorded in our minds. A portion of our minds is clearly linked to our brains. The human brain has systematically evolved from animal ancestors, primate, mammal, reptilian, amphibian, fish, one-celled organisms. Indeed. McLean, 1970, notes that the human brain cortex is the newest brain layer superimposed on earlier mammalian and reptilian brain structures. Importantly, at the moment of conception, and for the first several days afterwards, all animal embryos look amazingly alike, with the human fetus passing through the earlier biological ancestral forms of fish through mammals. And it is in the oldest layer of the brain stem, that the black nerve tracts are found. Forrest, 1972-1975, shows that defects in the black neuromelanin tract can sometimes bring out behavior that was once used by humanity's ancestors. Thus, when we consider the biological features of melanin, its memory storage and capacity, its presence in old brain centers, increased brain pigmentation in more advanced biological species, and innumerable reports of persons with detailed memory images of ancient historical concepts, the evidence is indeed overwhelming. Rapid eye movement, REM, sleep, is that phase of sleep in which neophytes dream, and more specifically, they dream historical memory images that come from the collective unconscious memory banks in the brain stem, black neuromelanin, a menta nerve tract, and passes through the locus coeruleus doorway. The black dot, all black neuromelanin, brain nerve tract, headed by the locus coeruleus, with multiple upper brain connection, is a critical path followed by unconscious memory images as they move upward to become conscious. Hobson and McCarley have recently defined the brain as a dream state generator and have outlined the great upward and downward flow of memory images of the brain system. In fact, infants at 6 months who were found to possess extreme rapid eye movements, REM storms, during sleep here, found to have possible delay of neurodevelopment. Moreover, the more one investigates the dream collective unconscious system, the more one is impressed by the system's multiple relationship to melanin. The pineal hormone, melatonin, a brain hormone released at night that induces skin color formations, acts upon the dream system to increase the movement of sensory images from the brain stem to the cortex, unconscious to consciousness, memory readout. Serotonin is a pineal hormone released during daylight that increases the flow of memory images from the centers of the brain, consciousness, to unconscious memory storage. Becker, 1981. The 11th pigmented nucleus, just below the locus coeruleus, is called the substantia nigra, black substance, and is so named because of its large pool of melanin. Wanda, 1969, Moses, 1966, Hiroswa, 1968. When there is depigmentation or loss of melanin, people who are afflicted develop Parkinson's disease, a disease of impaired motor movement and thought. This illness is treated by giving patients L-DOPA, a chemical that produces melanin and replaces the lost melanin in the substantia nigra. However, when increased melanin is given, patients frequently expressed an increased range of vivid dreams, hallucinations, illusions, confusional psychosis, Moscovitz, reflecting flooding of conscious by a flow of upward memory images. In fact, the primary medications used to treat psychosis, an illness hereby people poorly translate unconscious memory images, are phenothiazines, medications that are believed to work by dopamine blockage. McLean, 1970. Basically, stimulants and hallucinogens, such as amphetamines, LSD, DMT, mescaline, all increase melatonin, dopamine, and melanin. Whereas, tranquilizers such as phenobarbital decrease melatonin, dopamine, and melanin formation. Furthermore, melatonin, the pineal hormone that increases melanin when given to normal people, has been shown to increase feelings of tranquility and dream states in persons able to translate unconscious memory images. However, a person who was stable but with a prior history of psychosis or depression, when given melatonin, expressed within 24 hours, are turn of hallucinations of depression. Carmen, 1976. Then too, the locus coeruleus has been shown to contain and have very strong links to the system of naturally occurring opiates and opioid peptides. These are naturally occurring hormones that can induce strong feeling states that can guide and direct consciousness. Pepper,